Purple Valkyrie, this has been a really weird day. Let's be honest about it, right?
For a Wednesday, this has been one to remember, absolutely.
Somebody blew up the Georgia Guidestones.
Yes, and had you asked, would this be on my list of weird things to happen? No, funnily enough, this
No.
would not have been.
No, and it was funny. This was making the rounds on Twitter, and I'm actually going to take this and give credit to Luke Radowski for this, someone who I actually do pay attention to. And here's some of the video. Look at that. Somebody definitely blew the hell out of this thing there in Georgia.
Yes, they did, and it's worth noting this was about 4 a.m., I believe, that the damage was done, and originally they said that maybe it was an earthquake that caused one of these to fall, but we've seen it. It is not.
No, and not only that, you have the surveillance footage of the actual detonation of somebody, oh horror, doing something to something like this. And I'm going to pull that up and let you run with it. Let's take a look at the actual detonation.
Yeah, so as you can see in the top corner, just after 4 o'clock in the morning. So let me play. And let's see. Well, there it goes.
There are so many things that I want to say about this and who it's attached to, in the agendas, and the messages, and the resets, and the narratives. But I can't, can I?
Yes.
What we can do is we can talk about what the hell this thing was, when it was built, and supposedly who actually financed it.
This is one of those kind of weird things that people seem to know about, but they don't really know what it represents or what is actually written on the stones. It's a kind of fascinating read once you kind of break it down.
So we looked at a couple different sources, and this is the one we decided to settle on, not because it's the most sensational, but because I think both of us like the information that presented. This comes to us from creepycatalog.com, an article originally written on March 5th, 2021 by Jim Goad, and it is entitled Georgia Guidestones, A Complete Guide. The Georgia Guidestones have been called, quote, America's most mysterious monument.
What we do know is they have a message on them that's written on all of these stones. It's sort of like I guess you would call it a sort of 10 commandments, I suppose. And they were written in lots of different languages. So it is in English, Swahili, Russian, Spanish, Sanskrit, Hebrew, Arabic, and Chinese.
And although these are not numbered on the monument itself, they are presented in this order in every language. So I'll take the first one, and this is number 1. This is the most important thing on the Georgia Guidestones. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. I've seen somebody in the news who had a software company that was all about something like that, but I can't talk about it now, can I?
Number 2, they say guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity.
Oh, there's that word we keep seeing. Interesting. This is interesting stuff, Purple Valkyrie. I'll do the third one. Unite humanity with a living new language. Well, they kind of tried to do that in the 70s. I think it was called Esperanza. It really didn't work out so well. Number 4
is rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason.
I wonder who gets to rule. I wonder whose tempered reason we get to be ruled by.
And faith, yes.
Boy, whoever wrote this, they must sure think they're a lot smarter and more important than we are as individuals. I'll do the 5th one. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts.
Yes, that's a pretty big if, isn't it, really?
The question always is, which people are you protecting? Define what fair laws are, and really tell me about what just courts mean.
Yes, so number 6 is let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court.
Well, that's interesting because the way I understand it is that there's a lot of people who don't want there to be any borders anymore. And they kind
Mm-hmm.
of just want one central self-appointed group of people. Maybe they'll create a narrative, which is great. And then they'll, what's the word? Then maybe they'll reset things so that they'll all be in charge, and they'll have, what's that dirty word? Oh yeah, capitalism. And then we'll have the all hallowed socialism, because we'll all live in equity, meaning abject poverty and powerless. Interesting. Very interesting.
Are you implying that we should reorder or have a new order to things?
You mean like create a new world
Mm-hmm.
that is ordered differently? Well, I'm certainly not, but I think there are people who are, Purple Valkyrie. Speaking of which, number 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials. Okay, I can get behind this one. 100%. Yes. Finally, something that speaks to me here. How do you feel about that one?
Yes, of all of them, this is probably the most common sense one. Definitely, yes.
But how do corporations get to tax us in every possible way if they don't have petty laws and useless officials to do that? Oh, well, never mind. I can't talk about that on YouTube.
So number 8 is balance personal rights with social duties.
Another
familiar... I'm pretty sure that this has been tried in the past.
I wonder who gets to decide what those rights are and what those social duties are for us. I don't know if I like that one very much, Purple.
And whether you get credited for it, yes.
Oh, you mean like in some type of system based upon a social order?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And the more you balance those rights and are good at your social duties, like the higher score you would have? Is that what we're talking about, maybe?
That's a crazy idea, but that does seem to be.
Maybe we could keep. Maybe they could keep track of it all with QRT codes, like they do for those who comply with things now. Interesting, very, very interesting, Purple Valkyrie. Okay, number 9, prize truth, beauty, love-seeking harmony with the infinite. Boy, this sounds a little culty-wulty, doesn't it?
That's veering off into the hippie side, I think. Yes, peace, love, and happiness.
Or those dudes who are wearing the Mylar jumpsuits who cut off their junk and have matching tennis shoes. That's a little bit what it sounds like. But I prize truth, beauty, and love-seeking and harmony with the infinite. I'm just not entirely sure the way that maybe people who would pay to build something like this do.
Indeed. The final one that is written out in all of these different languages is, be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature, leave room for nature. It's so important they put it there twice.
Fascinating. I wonder who the cancer on the earth is. Do you think it's all the billionaires out there, the ones who lecture us about our footprint and things like that? Do you think that's who they're talking about? Or do you think it's about us poor slobs in the working class and middle class? I wonder.
People just trying to get through the day. It can possibly be the elites with their private planes and being able to jet set all over the world, lecturing us about our footprints, yes.
Yeah, no, what would we do without those people to tell us how bad we are and to lecture us every day about our privilege? Fascinating. This is the Georgia Guidestones. So obviously, where are the Georgia Guidestones? They are located in far eastern Georgia, about 30 miles from Athens. It's a major college town there. I used to go and drink there once in a while back in the 90s, and it's about 90 miles from Atlanta. Now, who made the Georgia Guidestones? Tell me what you know about this, Purple Valkyrie.
These are kind of known as the American version of the Stonehenge. So they are made up of nearly 250,000 pounds of granite, which was a little bit odd. No one knows who actually paid for their construction, but that's probably not true. Somebody knows who paid for their construction, but we will have a very hard time finding out that. But apparently they just appeared. They were erected and they've been there ever since. As the story goes, it says here, a elegant, well-spoken, well-dressed, grey-haired man who identified himself only as R.C. Christian, appeared at the Granite Company in Elberton, Georgia one day, requesting a quote on the project. Figuring he was some nut, the granite specialist purposely claimed a ridiculous price, figuring Mr. Christian would balk. Instead, he agreed to pay the price.
Wow, looks like somebody had some very, very deep pockets. And this was really, really important to put in plain sight. So the way the story goes is that this R.C. Christian allegedly presented builders with a shoebox containing a wooden model of the monument, along with 10 pages of extremely detailed specifications. Seated at the highest point in the entire county, there in Athens, the monument was precisely engineered to track the movements of the sun and stars. Interesting. There are other type of hinges like this that have done this all around the world, and that's in both Europe, Africa, Asia, and of course South America. Very interesting. Depending on which slots or holes you look through, visitors can see the sunrise during an equinox or solstice, as well as locate the North Star. Now, some people suspect the Rosicrucian order financed the project, since Rose Cross Christian, aka Christian Rosenkreutzer, was the founder of the mystical society of this Rosicrucian order. Many suspect that Rosicrucians financed the building of these Georgia Guidestones. How do you feel about that, Purple? I don't think it was them.
Probably not, no, but I think there was somebody who had a lot of money who wanted these put up, and it's not so much the fact that they line up and they do whatever hinges do, it is very much the message that is etched onto these stones that we have to sit up and take notice with.
The other part of this is that the project's builders had to sign a legal agreement to never reveal the identity of who paid for it. They also swore to destroy all legal papers regarding the Guidestones construction once the project was finished. Now, like you were talking about, Purple, some suspect that Ted Turner financed the project. Ted Turner, of course, led CNN to what was at the time a very successful transition, not the case anymore. And of course, CNN is based a mere 100 miles away in Atlanta, in Georgia, as well. Now, Ted Turner has made no secret of his own globalist agendas and goals, and the messages that are written on the Guidestones entirely reflect that. Removing population, looking at humanity as a cancer, that whole diatribe. So it's been suggested that he is the mystery patron behind this. What does this message mean, Purple Valkyrie?
Controlling of the population. It's a kind of an ideal, I suppose, of what if rampant globalism were to take hold, what we could expect. So the message on the Georgia Guidestones seems to call for at least 90% of the Earth's population to be wiped out. I could probably guess which percentage we would fall into with that. That is very, very sad.
It's interesting, though, because again, if I remember right, there was this guy who was big into software. Oh God, I can't remember his name. You know who I'm talking about, right? This sounds like exactly the same thing that he was talking about. And there's also, oh boy, there's this monarch in Europe. He's a prince, and I think he might even be somewhere close to you, Purple Valkyrie. And he and his family called humanity a virus on the planet, and that we should all be wiped out. So it's just, I don't know, it's probably just a conspiracy theory, but it's like, it's just really interesting, right?
It is very curious, yes. And this monument, obviously a lot of people who I suppose are into the kind of whole conspiracies, they are very aware of it, and most people do not like this, and for this to have been now blown up, I think is very curious.
Yeah, the question is was this self-sabotage because they're moving on to something else? Let's say hypothetically, of course. I won't spread any. Boy, I have to be really careful here, and you all know exactly what I want to say, and I can't say it. But it's very interesting that how would you get rid of all those people all at once? How would this happen? How would humanity stand for having, their right as human beings to exist on this planet taken away? It's fascinating stuff. This has, of course, led to many conspiracy theorists to allege that whoever financed the Guidestones are in cahoots with an evil order in the world that's new, in order to extensively depopulate Earth. Oh, boy, this just sounds so crazy to me. Yeah, it's really hard to believe, huh? Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yes,
Mhm.
especially after what we've just gone through in the past 2 years. Yes.
Yeah. So, whoever paid for the construction was not only able to hide their identity, but also their intentions for constructing this extremely bizarre monument. And what they actually mean is anyone else's guess. Now, that's according to this article. I don't know. Purple, to me,
Mhm.
I think I know exactly what the hell they meant. They
Oh,
wrote it
yes.
down right there. I don't, what do
Yes.
you need? Someone to knock on the door?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the facts that they've added is Yoko Ono herself called the
Oh, yeah.
Guidestones a stirring call to rational freedom. She cut a tribute track in 1993 called Georgia Stone. Thanks for that,
Well,
Yoko.
at least they didn't say she sang, because like you made a joke before we started recording, you can't call her a singer, you just have to call her Yoko Ono. She was like, "Hi, Georgia Guidestones." There you go. That's my Yoko Ono karaoke for you guys.
And because that these are made out of granite, they are also designed to withstand catastrophic events. So these things were meant to stand long after whatever it is they wanted to have happen has happened. Thankfully, or whichever way you want to look at it, at least one of these columns no longer exists. It's in several hundred pieces. Not done by a earthquake, I hasten to add.
I'm going to link this article because there's a lot of things that we can't see on YouTube, and you can see them on the screen, and we're not going to read all of them, but we'll leave you with this. A tablet in front of the monuments declared that let these guidestones be to an age of reason. As the article rightly states, is it reasonable to talk about removing 90% of the Earth's population? I guess it depends on who you are and what you got already. Fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff, Purple Valkyrie. I gotta tell you, this stuff is, I knew about the Georgia Guidestones a long time ago. I knew what they said. It's just I didn't realize today, July 6th, 2022, that someone was going to make a change, do some redecorating with those mammoth granite structures.
It is curious that we have footage of the stones disintegrating, but no footage of whoever caused them to disintegrate.
Yeah, I wonder. Boy, I wonder if that's the same camera company that they used for that guy Jeffrey. You think it's the same surveillance system, maybe?
Must be. They just keep missing the crucial details, don't they?
Anyway, thank you all for tuning into a very special and very topical phenomenal. You guys have a great day.
Take care.
As ever, this is Salty Texas Sea. I am Corey DB. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you've seen and heard, please hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you on board. That way you know, and we have things like live streams, which we are going to be doing every Tuesday evening. Take care. I hope you're having a great 2022.